The second piece, that knowing and being known combination, the knowing part, I think also is built into us in some way. I read a story this week about a group of religious demographers. Now, demographers are people who measure people, count people. And so I can only assume that a religious demographer is someone who counts religious people. And they had come up with a complicated statistical model that predicted that religion is going to die out over the next 50 to 100 years in 8 or 10 countries in northwestern Europe. They didn't say anything about the United States because they didn't have enough data, but in a number of countries they said this is going to happen. Now, one of the countries where they say this is going to happen is Ireland, and that seems so improbable to me that I kind of call their whole model and their strategy into question. But even if they're right, I would suggest to you that if religion dies out, it will be in part because the church has so long been an imperfect vessel for so many very, very imperfect people, and in trying to do God's will has so often strayed away from it. But this is where my young lady and her spiritual but not religious distinction comes back. Even if the religious part goes away, I am convinced in my heart that the spiritual part is never going to go away. It's in us somewhere inside. It's built into us, programmed into the way that we're put together to want to seek God. And so, in the spirit of what we've been doing here in Lent, talking about ways that we may come to a deeper knowledge and relationship with God, my question for you this morning is, what questions are you asking during Lent? How are you asking them? And what new questions might you be asking? My suggestion is that you try some question you've never tried before, in a way that you've never tried it. Maybe that means checking out some other religious way, some other way of doing Christianity, some other denomination that you've always thought of as being them, not us. Maybe it means trying something that's completely without words. We do a pretty good job here with words. There are lots and lots of words here spilled on Sunday mornings and at other times. There's a whole other piece of faith that comes to us without any words at all. Saying the rosary, or at least saying the beads, walking in the labyrinth, trying breathing prayer or centering prayer. Something that gets you away from the literal words that we otherwise would use and that might otherwise get in the way of our connection with God. Maybe it's taking something that you've always thought of as being too irritating even to bother with. That's completely them. Reading a book in the Bible by St. Paul. There are many people who struggle with St. Paul. I struggle with St. Paul. There are times when I just want to shout back at it. But maybe going back and reading it again is a way of coming into contact with something I hadn't expected. If you consider yourself to be very liberal, maybe it means finding a conservative writer. There are plenty of them who's written something about faith. If you consider yourself conservative, maybe it's finding a liberal writer who has something new and different to say about faith. Maybe it's coming here on Saturday morning when the pantry is going, not even necessarily to work, although that's certainly a very holy occupation. Maybe it's coming here to sit down with the people who come to the pantry and saying, what's going on in your life? Can I have a drink of water? Maybe it's asking the question that gets you where you need to go without necessarily realizing it when you start. All of these things can bring us into a place that we don't expect if we're willing to be vulnerable enough to God, and we're willing to take these situations as possible ways that God will come to us and tell us something that we aren't expecting. When was the last time you really sat down with God and something unexpected happened? When was the last time you came to church and something unexpected happened? For myself, I can say it was this morning when I forgot to read the collect. That alone in itself put me a little bit off in the service this morning. And I'm hoping that maybe I'm paying more attention than I otherwise would have had I done what I was supposed to do every moment. It's the little unexpected things. Can I have a drink of water from someone tired sitting next to the well? that bring us into a place where perhaps God is going to find us, and we will find God in a way that we did not expect. So my challenge to you is, go out and find it. If it feels a little bit uncomfortable to you, if it feels a little bit strange, great. If it feels very uncomfortable to you, if it feels very strange, even better. Let God come into that strange place, that strange encounter that should never have happened. Let God find you in an unexpected place this week and see what may come of it in the rest of Lent. Amen.